All right, welcome let's see here. Welcome everyone to our I think it's our 10th college presentation for class of 2023. I want to welcome you here today. We're going to learn a lot of good things that will help you at this point in the admissions process. And we should have a tape of this available on YouTube, our YouTube channel. I'm going to review very shortly how to get to our YouTube channel if you want to review that. We also have the presentations in the chat for you as well. We think that will be helpful to you additionally. Okay, let's see. Okay, I'm trying to get the right view here. All right, let's go ahead and share today's presentation with you. And there it is. Okay, let me hide this. Okay. There we go. Today is the meeting number 8 I'm seeing here. Although I think it probably is our 10th if you count all the way back to March, but I guess I'm starting it from later. Before we get started, I think this is the time of year where I will stop. Before I even do the opening announcements, I'll take any questions you might have. If you're here right now, any questions? If I'm going to cover it tonight, I'll just tell you, but I'll take question and answer. Then as I go through the session, if you have questions, feel free to put them in the chat or just say, hey, just speak right up or raise your hand. One of the people here will see it. Somebody will tell me, or I'll see it, whatever. But are there any questions before we get started today? I'd like to take any questions and answers you might have. Questions you might have. Nobody? Nobody? All right, let's go ahead and start with our opening announcements. Before we do that, I'm still not happy with the view I'm getting. All right, okay. Okay. We have reduced cost of free registration to our in-person or virtual homework club for 12th grade seniors. Immediately, we have immediate help for the first 5 12th grade students for free for up to 2 to 3 weeks. Please, if you're having any trouble, your students are having any trouble at all in their classes as seniors, this is my way I strike against senioritis every year. We're available in person Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 5:30 to 8 o'clock at West Angeles. We also have a virtual homework club. Just need you to get a hold of me so I can assess their need and tell them the best nights to come. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel through our website. Let's go ahead and show you how to do that, how to get to our YouTube channel from our website. You do that very easily by typing let me move this out of the way for you. www.westa-eep.org. You go to our website, and there's an arrow over here to the right, click that a few times. You'll see some important announcements, things we have here. Talk about loan forgiveness. A lot of stuff doesn't apply, but listen to our podcast. We put it under there because we do have weekly or longer podcasts there. But the first thing you get to is our YouTube channel. You go there and you can see us. It'll ask you to subscribe right there. And you can see we're live right now. But these are all of our videos down here. We have a bunch of them. If you click the videos, you can see all of them. These are all the videos. We've done quite a few videos. Some are very pertinent to you right now in the college process. We have close to 200 of them now. But you should subscribe to our YouTube channel right here. Join the subscribers. So whenever we go live for our short videos, you'll get a notification, or you'll see if I put something new there. We've done some from videos recently. There's a couple with Sister Brianna, who's here tonight, talking about how to pick your CSUs, and then we have top college application, essay tips, et cetera. And there's some updates on the CSU UC vaccine situation. We put things there and we won't have time to cover the sessions. And I don't want to have too many sessions. So when I have them, they're going to be very, very important when I have them, but I don't want to have too many of them. That's one thing we've learned coming out of the pandemic. All right. So I thought I'd share that with you. Go to our website and definitely get onto it and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Okay, let's continue here. Make appointments for consultations if you need to. Just get a hold of me, text me, email me, and suggest 2 dates and times. This time of year, it's probably not a good idea just to say, hey, I want to meet. I think you should suggest 2 dates and times. Some of you wonder why I do that, because I've noticed that if I have you to set it, you have to coordinate 1 or 2 other people anyway, and that gives you a chance to do that and get everybody together and then suggest the dates and times. If I schedule it and then you coordinate it, oftentimes it's rescheduled, and then I could have scheduled someone in or could have done something else. This way works really well. I work very efficiently when I know what I'm going to be doing, and it helps me if you give me the 2 dates and times. All right, here's 5 top mistakes that you might be making right in the middle of making. I didn't really do that right. You might be, or right in the middle of making. I should have an or in there. I'll correct that. The college list has too many colleges that will be prohibitively high in costs, given the GPA of the student. It's more of an issue this year than any other year, by the way. And I think it has something to do with, the amount of time we had the students in the pandemic and couldn't really do a lot for them. Just want to be careful, parents, especially going into a recessionary period. You don't want to get a situation where you have, a very high cost college and you have loans from yourself to pay it off, and you're in, your salary is in recession. It's not going as far anyway, and now you're picking up that debt, and the interest rates are going up on debt right now too. The government's raising them to control the inflation that we have, and they'll be doing that another 2 or 3 years, a year and a half, 2 years. Most economists believe. You already see the interest rates up. So that number 1 is pretty powerful. If a student's GPA is 3.3 to 3.4, and they've worked very, very, very hard, you want them to get what they want, but at the same time, you want to come out of this with a retirement. And, you have a right to retirement as hard as you're working. Failure to watch the early CSU UC emails and the setup portals. It's great you applied to CSU and maybe even UC early, I don't know, but please watch the email. Now, if we have your email address this week, Christina and I are putting a full court press on setting up portals for you to get you started, or calling you to find out what you want to do, because we said we would do that if you paid the additional fee. We have the lowest amount ever of students that have signed up for CSU support for applications. And that's okay. It doesn't mean people aren't applying. It just means they're applying in school. And I don't think the schools are telling you what to do after you apply. And that concerns me a lot. And also, I've learned when people apply in school and they've come to me later, they don't have the right CSUs given their GPAs. I can't believe that people in school have accumulated the knowledge of what CSUs are the best for students. So parents, even if they're doing them in school, you should really make sure you check in with us. I think everybody here, as it turns out, people who come to these meetings, we've either talked about your CSUs, or I did them, or have some way of knowing the CSUs that are being applied to. Generally, if I'm handling it, they're going to apply to CSUs sooner or later. Probably the next week, I'll be going over everyone I'm working with to get the CSUs done. Because it is really your best low-cost, affordable, admissible option for college. There's some strange things about follow-up. There's the overall admission process, about the failure to follow up on the CSUs. The overall admission process is an issue, and there's individual CSU issues. Let me see if I can do this. I might surprise Brianna Bennett with one of these. The overall admission process issues is that you're focusing now on private schools, private schools, private schools, private schools, UCs, private schools, out of state, private, out of state, want to go away to college. Then all of a sudden, when the financial aid awards come in, it becomes evident that it's not as affordable as you wanted it to be. And at that moment, it'll be February, January, and you'll pivot to your CSUs. And because you missed correspondence, some of them are not available to you. CSU does a lot of time-dated responses, and if you don't respond, you miss out or you get your application dropped in some cases. So please, please, please get those portals open, follow up on the CSU applications. The individual CSU issues are even more interesting than that. We still have the situation, and I saw it again this year, Christina, by the way, where San Diego State's first email goes to your spam. Okay, so that's an additional complication. If you've applied to San Diego State, I've had students not ever get the email they send setting up your portals or setting up a way to check on status, and they've gotten admitted to San Diego State. And in March, when they pivot, they found out they're admitted. They thought they didn't get in to any of the schools they wanted. So if you applied to San Diego State, I really need you to go check your spam, because it's getting to be 30 days now, and you'll lose that correspondence for good. So that's a good example of what happens if you're not checking your portals. If they had been checking, they would notice that they hadn't gotten anything from San Diego State. If you received nothing from a CSU, there's something wrong. They email about 15 emails per school. Your email box will be loaded with information from CSU, which is why we suggested a separate email address. Number 3, FAFSA and CSS profile are delayed by late 2021 income tax filing. Hurry your return, get it done, but you can file the FAFSA based on estimates and still get it in early. Most people don't know that. You can file a FAFSA based on estimates. You have your W-2, you just estimate, and then when the tax return is filed, you update your FAFSA is all. I can help you with all of that. You just get a hold of me. Again, we seem to have a record number of freshmen. I'm getting a lot of continuing students. Of course, they knew about me. I have a record low number of activity with FAFSAs. I guess it means you're going to do it yourself, or you got it taken care of for those that are here. And those that are not here, I'm deeply concerned about. I don't know how I'm going to sound that alarm about CSU and FAFSA. Maybe everybody's covered and they're going to do it right. And that would be great. That's fine. But I want to make sure people are getting help. Number 4, there are too many colleges on the list, given the high school schedule of the student. I have your high stress. Yikes. That's a really high stress situation for students. I think prematurely gets them immersed in a college like, time management situation that is very stressful for students. So it's a good chance to look at your list, maybe cut some of the schools out that are very similar to other schools. I have a lot more to say about that later that will sort of help you. But I think some of these lists may be too long. Again, maybe nobody here, but I don't know that for sure. Like right now, if you have a list of 20 or 21, 25 colleges, 17, 16 colleges, and you haven't gotten to a lot of those colleges, it's time to assess and face the facts. Maybe your list is a little bit too long, because you still have to do your high school stuff too, your courses and your activities in high school and your extracurricular activities. Then this one right here, there's more information on this than the next view graph. Late college list additions that are just like all the other colleges. Why add colleges that are just like all the other colleges? And that's a problematic situation as well that I want you to be attentive to at this time. How about some guidelines for the addition of new college applications? So you want to add new applications to your list or do some more college work, you think you can handle it. Here's some guidelines for you if you intend to do that. Add colleges that are different than existing colleges. How about that? Like if you have all, of one kind of school, say you have, yeah, I want to go to all Black schools. There's nothing wrong with stopping and adding some CSUs. And just in case those colleges cost a little too much for your parents or parents you think they cost too much. How about an out-of-state university? We're going to give you ideas later, but you really should start thinking about, if you're going to add schools, add ones that are different than the existing ones. How about adding a college? Only add a college that is, if it's 100% going to be more affordable or the same cost as the other colleges. I talked about that a minute ago. Add colleges you really have a chance of visiting. You know, people are adding colleges they're not going to visit. And I know here's the rule. You should not, and you will not probably attend a college you don't visit. Okay? But you're going to visit colleges you're not going to attend. And it's one of the ways in March and April that I can tell what college, no matter how many they've applied to, that a student is going to go to. It's going to be the one they visited. You know, I've heard students tell relatives, 10 or 12 colleges, that they get admitted to, they might be going to, but I know they're only going to visit the ones they actually go to a school they visited and gotten to know. I sure hope you won't pick a school you haven't visited. It never seems to work out, and there's a good reason for it, but there's no need to go into that here. I'll go into it here. It's because when students visit a college, parents, they buy into that campus. They buy into being there. So if something goes wrong, they try harder to make it work. Whereas they just attend a college that they're told to attend, that they have to attend, there's not as much buy-in. This is why we try to travel to some colleges. Can't go to all of them. In fact, I just had to postpone the DC trip, but even in that postponement, I postponed it to January. And by the way, those who were on that trip, I did send an email, let me know what your intentions are of that. But we're gonna have a great trip in January. And we're gonna visit those schools well before that April, March time where you can't get to all your schools. You have to have some you've already visited. So it's a good time to start thinking about that. And by the way, in the initial emails that the CSUs will send you, they're telling you about campus open houses. There's a lot of open houses even in November for CSUs, and then again in January and February. You should get to as many of those as you can. Add colleges that both the youth and parent want added. They should consult each other. A parent shouldn't be surprised that a student got into a college. And you're the one paying for it, and they're excited about it and want to visit. You didn't even know they applied. Add colleges, have an S on that, whose application process does not adversely affect the grades or athletic or artistic responsibility a student has this time of the year. The essays and recommendations and the financial aid documents, they take time to provide if the school makes an inquiry and asks for those. Okay, let's talk about any questions out there, anybody, or any of my people see anything out there? Christina?
No, I don't see anything.
All right. COVID-19 impact, mandates in the colleges. Let's talk about the mandates here. I went back a year and I realized, oh, wow, this view graph did change, but not as much as I thought. And I'll be glad to show you where. Here are the facts, and I'm giving you the facts here, by the way, parents. Despite the science, most colleges are still requiring the vaccine as a condition of enrollment. CSU, UC, two-year colleges, privates in California, schools on the East and West coast, I should have said there. Boy, I got a few things to correct on the final copy. East and West coast. So you got a large amount of colleges that still say they're requiring it. I find it hard to believe. I have a video on that. You saw that. You should go watch that video. You'll see what I think about that. But right now I'm reporting the news. That's the way it is today. In fact, in the CSU application, there is a reminder that they'll have to be vaccinated. Now, if you're opposed to the vaccine, and many people are, and there's some good science reasons for it, especially right now with the extremely mild version known as Omicron, and then now the one that's coming after, it's even milder, it turns out. I can't remember the name of it. A lot of people think it's not worth the risk anymore, and there's a lot of risk apparently in the data that's not being talked about a lot to young people. So really get informed on that topic. I have a video on that too somewhere, but on a separate channel. It may be on Rumble because I I probably got a strike for putting it up first from YouTube. They don't want to hear anything about anything against this. But really think about where you stand on this vaccine business. If you're okay with it, it's okay. Just they'll probably be asked to take the new booster. Colleges in the West, South, and Christian colleges are not requiring the vaccine or the testing protocols. Okay? And they're not having outbreaks. And if they are, they're probably mild anyway. Typically, red states do not require the vaccine. I know we hate red states. We think they're racist and all that, but they're not requiring vaccines or testing protocols, and none of them are having outbreaks. Many of the colleges claim to be open for tours, but only by vaccinated families and students. But when you actually show up, they don't enforce it. And in fact, CSUs last year, many of them did not enforce the vaccine mandates. Many did not enforce the vaccine mandate. So a lot of us don't know what's going to happen. Again, you might want to watch my video on that, where I can really take the time and show you articles and go through it. It's in our YouTube channel. It's one of the last 5 or 6 I did. Let's talk about college costs. I'm just going on, assuming there's no questions. How about college cost? I have this favorite scripture of mine in Luke 14, 28 and 30, and it's called Counting Up the Cost by some who write commentary on the Bible. And I really think this is an important scripture for us right now in this phase we're figuring out, how we're going to pay for college. Which of you intending to build a tower does not sit down first and count the costs, whether he has enough to finish it? Verse 29. Listen to this. Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, verse 30, this man began to build and was not able to finish. That's the most common reason away from our program that students do not finish college. I should stop and talk about that right there. I will. Only 44%. Yes, I said 44. When I heard this, I couldn't believe it, but it's true. Only 44% of middle-class families, students finish college. And the number one reason is cost. I guess they didn't figure they didn't really check it out before what it'd be for 4 years. Well, in my program, you're going to see today, I want to make sure you will leave this meeting know how to figure out what your college is going to cost. I'm going to give you estimates, and I'm going to tell you how to read the financial aid award, all in the next 35 to 40 minutes. Because I want you to be able to count up the cost. I want you to be able to know what it's going to be and begin to plan for it. See, college, I was talking to a parent today about this earlier this morning. College is the only thing that people tend to just go and take it off the shelf and go to the cash registers and say, how much does it cost? And then whatever it is, they just pay. But I think we need to figure out what it's going to cost. In some cases, don't even pull it off the shelf. And we wait to look in the store for something that's more within our cost. Or better yet, go to another store. It's just the only product I know of where people decide and grab a product without having a price tag on it. I have more to say about that when I get the financial aid award, because sometimes you can have a financial aid award, and because you don't know how to read it, the same thing happens anyway. How will I pay for college? How about a college direct cost analysis? This will go pretty quick. This is all for families of incomes greater than $65,000, which is the predomination of my demographic here on the program. Let me just say this before I start. Oftentimes, if families make less than 50, it's very little out of pocket or nothing out of pocket for a CSU or UC. It depends on a lot of factors, but it certainly is not the numbers I'm showing here. Above 65, I intentionally did that. Basically, you're exposed to the full cost of the CSU because you're above the amount typically you would get even a middle class grant. The tuition and fees run you $6,500 to $8,800. You might wonder, well, why is it such a wide margin? Why is it such a wide margin? Well, it's because different CSUs have different tuition and fees. Here's why. How the CSUs handle the campus unique fees is different from CSU to CSU. Some CSUs do not tend to charge campus unique fees. Some don't. Some do. You might wonder, well, why is that? because the land, LAND, that some of the CSUs are on is cheaper in some cases. It was acquired for free. And so there is not a capitalized overhead. And so they can charge less. So CSUs vary in their tuitions and fees and mandatory fees. The room and board also has a window. I see this year that room and boards are going up, and I got a notification that from CSU internally that they may be raising a lot of their room and board based on inflation of food costs. But anyway, 13,500 to 20,500 would be your room and board. You can see it's almost $30,000 to go to some of our CSUs now for the first time ever. And the more expensive CSUs, I think I put that up last meeting. If you want to go back and look at the video for last meeting, I ranked the CSUs by cost. If you want to ask about it here, I can do that too. But San Diego State and San Francisco State are two of the most expensive CSUs when you look at room and board and tuition and fees. These are the semester costs. You can figure always 1/2 of the numbers that are shown here. Let's talk about UC. Its tuition and fees run $16,200 to $18,000. So if you commute to UCLA, it's going to run about $17,000 for tuition and fees and mandatory fees. Decide to live on campus in UC, the cost is going to run you $13,500 to $17,500. So you can see UC is going to run about $36,000 a year, which when you go from state to state and look at their schools, our state schools are way lower than other state schools to their residents. Private colleges, well, there's a wide window on those. 25, there are a variety of different settings and everything. That's $25,000 to $62,000 just for tuition and fees. The tuition at USC is $62,400. It's actually a little higher than $62,000. The room and board there is $17,000. So they're America's first nearly $80,000 college, $15,000 to $19,500. Now, of course, in the case of USC, depending on your GPA and your SAT scores, you could receive a merit award and cut into that. But if you're making more than $65,000, there'll be only a small amount of need-based grant on your award. If you don't have high grades, you won't really feel that. Obviously, both will help, but it's still going to be a pretty expensive school at the end of the day. But I say that about any private school, actually. So why do we have federal loans for college? You can probably guess, but I wanted to do it pictorially for you to show you why we have federal loans for college. For the tuition plus the room and board, we call that direct costs. I want you to remember that. These are the amounts that'll be on your bill. On your bill is the direct cost of the college. It's going to be the direct cost of the college. That's tuition, fees, and room and board. Okay? That's the direct cost of your college. Need-based, first we have need-based federal and state grants plus merit scholarships. When it's considerably less than the direct cost of the college, you have to make it up with loans. So in the blue, we have the tuition, fees, and room and board, the direct costs. And then you have over here, your Pell Grant, your Cal Grant, your University Grant, your merit awards. That's free money. That's in the red block. Then this block up here, what's left over, is the amount you have to pay for college. Now you could go in your pocket and do it, but so I say that's dollars plus loans. There's going to be a student loan and a parent loan. The student loan is going to be small, I think pretty easy to pay when they leave college. I've talked about that last meeting. Whatever you can't pay for in cash is going to be a parent loan. That's why we have loans. Here's an example here of HBCU for GPA of up to 3.5 and income greater than 50,000. You're looking at $35,000 to $55,000 per year that you're going to owe for college. We know that, but it's going to be all dollars plus loans. It's going to be out of your pocket plus loans as your income moves above $50,000 when you're dealing with HBCU. Now, of course, if you're below 50,000, you begin to be eligible for federal aid like Pell Grants and loans. That'll make up about maybe 40% of this. You'll still have to pay the rest. Example 2 with HBCU, his income's less than 40. Here's that example here. You can see that there is some federal Pell and other need-based grants in the orange, but you're still gonna owe. It's gonna be dollars plus loans to make up the rest. So HBCU is no different than any other private university. Above 60,000, of course, for CSU, we've talked about that. You pretty much are exposed to the full cost. This numbers on the bottom here are out of date. That 19 to 24,000 this year is going to be, as you know, I mentioned, we think due to inflation and other things, it's going to be more to 28 on the upper end. Okay. They say it's temporary because of the food cost, but we'll have to wait and see. Here's another loan example for CSU. Again, I'm trying to show you how loans get smaller if your income is lower. There's still loans, right? The blue at the top. The orange is made up by grants, Cal Grant and University Grant. That's all in the orange. It makes up a lot of this in the blue over here anyway. Let me get my marker out of this. That's why I bought it today. You can see that over here, that's the blue, and you can see down here, the orange is lower, but there's still a small amount that you're going to pay for college. Maybe about $200 or $300 a month, it turns out, I guess, what I should say there. Okay. Let's go to the next one here. Oops. Private colleges above 60,000 income, and that's where my demographic really is. Now I let this student be 3.9 plus. This is typically what we see here. We typically are going to see 19 to 35,000 per year that is owed for college. Now, once you begin to, some schools, when you get to 3.9, of course, you're on the lower end here, right? And maybe a little lower, but most of them are going to be in this window of 19,000 to 35,000. How about some exception to our cost rules that we have here, especially the private ones, if you have an open mind anyway. Boise State, Sonoma State. Here's some CSUs. I put the ones that our students are mostly at these schools. Sonoma State, CSU Bakersfield, CSU Long Beach, CSU Dominguez Hills. These are all popular CSUs. CSUs are way more affordable than expensive private colleges. There's others too that I don't have on here. They're just fine. I put other CSUs, San Diego State, Poly SLO, Fullerton. These are the more selective CSUs. UCs, if you're comparing the private college costs, are a good buy, but compared to CSU, they're more expensive. Grand Canyon University, George Washington University, we have a special arrangement with GW. I mentioned it in the email. Lehigh University, I probably should mention Howard. Of all the HBCUs, if you have a high GPA, Howard is a little more generous with their merit awards than the other HBCUs. I don't have them listed here, but I probably should have and made that qualification. University of Nevada, Reno, these are all schools that are exception to my cost rules. There are others, but these are the ones that are most frequently used in our program that are cost exceptions, okay? Let's talk about understanding the financial aid award. And before I go into it, I'm going to give one example today, but I gave you a book of different examples. And I think I'll do a video on that booklet I gave you. I'll do a short video, maybe about 4 or 5 minutes to go through that and show you how to use it. But I'm going to show you now how to read a financial aid award. The number one problem with a financial aid award is that here it goes, here we go. It does not tell you the cost of a college, what it will cost your family in and of itself. It does not tell you that what it will cost you. Does not. So keep that in mind. It's not going to tell you that, okay? It's only going to say what financial aid you get. It's like if you go into a store and all you see on the tags is 20% off, 30% off, 40% off, but you don't know what it's off of. I hope you understand what I just said. a financial aid award. Now, a few schools do show you on the financial aid award what the school costs. Most do not. You just see the financial aid award and you're on your own. Today, I'm going to teach you how to figure out what you owe for the school. The first step in looking at a financial aid award is to understand it. And when you look at it, you see that all of the aid on this award is not relevant, meaning that you have the option to not do it. And I'm going to tell you why you might not even do them. Let me get my marker ready here, okay? Stand by. I got to get my marker ready here. I'm going to get it done now. Like, for example, this work study here. I'm not so sure that you want to do work study your first year. You just arrived at school, you're going to start work. No, the most important thing you can do your first year, first semester certainly, is to adjust to college and to adjust socially to college. Students that start working fail to make that adjustment, fail to really enjoy their campus and get involved in student activities. That's going to be worth way more to you than some minimum wage job, minimum work study job. They only pay $10 an hour below the federal minimum wage. I wouldn't worry about that too much right now, and I would therefore not count it here. Also, the parent loan parents, my first cut, I would take the parent loan out. My first cut through, I would take that out. Okay? I would not consider that relevant financial aid my first time through. Any questions so far? And I'll go through it each step with you, don't worry. Let me clear that away and go to the next view graph. Step 2, understand the direct cost of the college. Remember I told you it's not on the financial aid award? It's not, you see? But you have to go get it separately. And where do you get it from? You go to the school's website. You Google the name of the school and the total cost for 2023. You notice I'm using an old financial aid award here, but it's still the same. This first column is going to be 2023 fall and 2024 spring will be over here. Same idea. You can get the idea how to do it. What you want to look for is the tuition and fees, room and board, because that is your direct cost. Remember? That's your direct cost right here. That's your direct cost. The rest of these costs are actually quite controllable. They're controllable by how you register, how you handle things, and they're way overestimated on most of these total cost things because the schools want the total cost as high as it can go, so kids can get higher plus loans. Don't worry about understanding that. Just know that these are not on the bill. Whereas in the red, it's on the bill. Not on the bill, on the bill. Any question on that?
What is the transportation cost? What is that?
Air tickets to and from school.
Oh.
Or driving.
Okay.
I thought you would then ask, why is it so high? And that's right. Let me tell you what I think. I think the students should only come home. Here's first year. They should come home at Thanksgiving, Christmas, and spring break. And sometimes by the time you get to spring break, they got a job. They're going to tell you no. They might say no. Get ready for that, parents. But I think you should definitely come home at Christmas and Thanksgiving. But those are the costs for travel. That's what transportation's all about. Even if you're local, it's that piece of car you get them to get there. Right, Sister Patricia?
Yes.
I know you know what I mean. Come on now.
Or the bus or the train.
There you go. Ooh-wee. I will not comment, but you're right. It's all those things. Books
or the gas that you take to get them back and forth, right?
Hey, I think the gas is more than a piece of car.
Yeah, sure is.
These days.
This is good information, though.
Yes, yes. But the point is, all those costs, though high, are not on the bill. They're controllable costs that are paid out of pocket. Then you have miscellaneous and personal, or some just call spending money. It's here too. but these are all your direct costs right here. You can add those up. You can see this school's, well, you'll see in a minute. Let's go to step 3. Anybody else? Okay.
So this is an example of a school that just has 2 semesters, right?
Yeah,
For
92%.
the year. Okay.
92% have 2 semesters.
Okay.
There are some that have 3 quarters.
Right.
And that's
right.
okay. You just have 3 columns here.
Right. Got it.
You still have a total, right?
Right.
Right. That's what you want to look at, that total. You're going to find out in a minute, this total is like super important over here. Okay.
Okay.
Again, this is how to read the financial aid award, because you got to extract from the award how much the school costs.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to the next slide. Now, here's where you figure out what the school is going to cost. Let me get my writing tool here. Y'all know I'm gonna write on this thing, right? Now you're going to calculate the school cost. Again, the first 2 steps were how to read the financial aid award itself and extract what's the relevant financial aid, relevant. And the relevant aid is all that financial aid we had on the first page, minus the work study and the Parent Plus loan. Because you want to know worst case parents, how much you're going to owe for this college. And then there's your direct costs. I put it as minus. That's accounting with the brackets means minus. And then that means you're going to owe $6,000 for San Diego State. For this example, for most of you, you're going to owe way more than this. We showed that earlier. But for this example, it's $6,000. Any questions? Again, that book that I gave you, or going to give you, or gave you, I'm not sure which. Maybe you all can share that with them. It's going to have more examples in it. And I'm going to do a video with just examples too. So I really want you to know how to figure out. That's a unique thing about our program. We teach the parents that come to this session and maybe our next one, how to figure out what school costs.
Mm-hmm.
You might have guessed, I'm trying to make my job easier in March. I usually get, last year I got 78 calls. How do I read my award? Of course, these are people that weren't in the meeting at all. And they were terrified. They weren't sure what to do. But the key thing is to start thinking now about how to read that award. Any questions?
Can you explain it one more time?
Absolutely.
Make sure
I was waiting for that question. I was waiting for some form of that question anyway. Let's do it again. Sometimes we don't know what you're going to see. When you see it, you need to see it again.
Right.
Step 1 is to understand the financial aid award. And again, it's interesting, Sister Patricia, I've never seen this in any book anywhere or anything. It's kind of unique creation that I do here, because I don't know how. I've seen some great affordability books. I've watched presentations people have done on the outside and videos on YouTube's. Nobody talks about how to take the financial aid award and understand what you owe.
Mm-hmm.
And these colleges are not helping you. They want you to be excited about how much you got. I think it's USC. You would expect those kind of schools to tell you what you're going to owe. You can extract it, but you got to really know what you're doing. There are some schools that lay it all right out in front of you. They don't care. Here it is. We want you to know. Grand Canyon is the best one in the world at doing that. They explain it to you. There are other schools that do good too. Seattle Pacific does well, Boise State. So the schools that I like, isn't that funny? Anyway, here's the financial aid award. It's presented usually in semesters, but your real concern should be the total. I only showed you how I was doing it so you wouldn't be confused when you got it. Okay? I didn't want you to be confused when you saw it and saw 2 columns. But as you probably guessed by now, this is the most important column right here.
Mm-hmm.
Totals. And the most important part of that column, right down here. Now, you're going to subtract out this. You get your calculator out.
Mm-hmm.
You subtract these 2 totals out. I said 2 because it's these 2 numbers here. You need to subtract them from the 2,800.
Okay.
And I'll give you 19,000 something. I don't know. We'll see in a minute. Okay. Should I go on?
Yes.
Step 2, understand the direct costs. I never cleaned this board off, sorry. Understand the direct cost. Well, that would be right here. The first two, usually the first 2 lines. It's what's on the bill.
Mhm.
On the college bill, it's going to be the direct cost. Think about it this way. You got to eat. You got to sleep.
Mhm.
You got to pay the bill, pay the tuition. There it is right there. It's about 25 or 26,000. The rest of these costs here are controllable expenses out of pocket.
Right. Okay.
Very controllable. I have a separate, I think next week, next time I meet, I'm gonna tell you those are called indirect costs.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give 12 rules for controlling indirect costs. I'll give you one today. Make sure you stay on the registration schedule. Make sure you do everything on time from here on. Accept the school, do the deposit on time, go to the orientation, register for classes on time. Do everything on time. Your books will be way lower than this. But when we don't do things on time, where it gets interesting. Let's go on and look at step 3, which is to actually do the math. There's that relevant financial aid we talked about earlier, right?
Mhm.
Here it is right there. Let me get my little writing tool here for everybody to see it. I think everybody does see it, but I'm going to show my writing tool off. Here we go. 19,922 is the relevant financial aid. Notice I call it relevant. Sister Thompson, why do I call it relevant financial aid?
That's the amount that that you can't control.
Well, it's okay in a sense. It's the financial aid that I really can't use. The parent plus loan, the parent loan,
And the work study.
and the work study, I think you shouldn't count that here. Now, if it turns out you need a parent loan, you can decide here. Once
Right.
you see what it really, and you'll see the schools are offering you way more parent loan than you need a lot of times.
Right.
You just take what you need. The direct cost we learned on the other page is 25,922. And in our example, just was a coincidence, but it ends up being $6,000 that you owe.
Mhm.
Now, again, I have about 10 other, maybe it's 8 other examples in the book that I'm providing you. You should go through those with your calculator. Now, I'm going to do a video on that booklet, okay, on my YouTube channel. All right, anybody else? Because I only did the one example today. Maybe next meeting I'll run through another example or 2. So why don't you start thinking, she's going to start getting these financial aid awards, after they start getting accepted to schools. That's when they start sending them out. Once you're accepted, you start to get access to them. Remember with CSU, don't forget with CSU, it's not how CSU works. They're not going to mail you anything in the mail. It's going to be in a portal. There are those portals again. Your financial awards behind a portal. They're not going to announce it to you and shoot firecrackers off. They're just going to put it in the portal and walk away. But if your student is not checking their portals, and because they may have the motive of going somewhere else to school, and then you pivot to it in March, and you realize, wait a minute, the financial aid office was asking me for something, right?
So once you get your acceptance letter, will the acceptance letter tell you to establish a portal? Is that where
No,
you?
even before that, that's the point of today's meeting. When you apply to CSU, they're telling you an email.
Oh, okay.
But the student's not looking. They may not know until they're accepted 3 months later. So if they apply today and never look in their portal, and the school says, we need your transcript, and they never see it, guess what happens when February 1st comes? They drop that application, the student never knew.
So the portal has to be established like once you're done applying, because CSU communicates with students via the portal. They don't do any text, email, none of that. They just communicate with the student through the portal where they create a username and password, and they can there see the messages that CSU is sending them. That's the portal.
Now, if that student's registered with me and I'm helping them with their applications, or I'm reading their essays, usually they're close enough to me that I jump in and help them. But if they're not, then I don't know. That's why in this meeting and on this YouTube video, anybody that's seeing it, you're hearing about it right there. A lot of
Mhm.
people only look at my YouTube videos.
Thank you.
Okay. Again, it's not too late. If you want us to work with your student, it's just a minimal donation at this point. Because I do have people like Christina I got to feed. Christina's, I don't know if she's laughing or not, but anyway. 2 categories of student loans. Yes, there's 2 categories of student loans. So why is Deacon Wilson covering student loans? I think I proved earlier that you might need loans, right? I know some of you think we're going to do this without loans. If you really believe that, I should go back to that view graph of those colleges that are very affordable, and you should be applying to at least 2 of those. If you came through me and I did look at your list and had a meeting with you, there's a couple of those on your list. A lot of you all see there's a couple on your list. Student loans, 2 types. First, we have direct student loans, also called Stafford loans. There's also a loan called a Perkins loan. Perkins loans, I'll just talk about forgiveness. Perkins loans are fully forgivable. Direct student loans are not currently forgivable. However, students owe about $300 a month maximum when they leave college. As you'll see later, I think that's fair. There's also a student loan. Here you go. Look at this, parents. There's a student loan called a parent loan. Oops, it's considered a student loan. It's also called a PLUS loan. Parent loan for undergraduate students. Parent loan for undergraduate students. Okay? The PLUS loan, on a PLUS loan, there is no loan forgiveness, there's a credit check. There is a way to get loan forgiveness not related to the current news, because that's been blocked by the federal government. There's always been a way, 5 ways to forgive your student direct loan. I'll just talk about some of them now. If you'd like my daughter, she went into Peace Corps. Some of it can be given or all of it can be forgiven that way. Teach for America, that's the way to get it forgiven. There's other ways to get your loan forgiven, even before all this forgiveness. Those are called conditional forgiveness. That's why there are people like me who believe that students' loans that exist now should be conditionally forgiven. We should expand the procedure for conditional forgiveness. Perkins loans, there is no credit check on these loans. Students get them. They're actually an entitlement, kind of an entitlement program. Direct student loans, there is forgiveness for, there are some of the forgivenesses I put there. Federal government employment, AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, Teach for America. But these are not things that students typically do when they leave college, they're going to owe loans. And I think that's fair, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Why students should pay for college. Here we go. I think students should pay something for college, even if you're going to fully support them, parents. And I think the direct loan is a fair way for students to pay for college. Students should pay or owe something for their college education. They will receive something of lifelong value. They should pay. They are or become more motivated to complete college when they have loans. I've seen it and heard them say it. Many times, parents regret their own student loans and do not want their youth to have loans. You can pay the loans or pay the additional costs in cash, but that's all up to you. I don't suggest that at all. That might surprise you that I believe that. The monthly payment is manageable if students plan a sustainable career, independent of their major. A life plan is needed to allow loans to be repaid. So how do you like that? Let's talk about, I got this graphic bar here now. Hold on just a minute. Let's get this out of here. Other loan facts. Let's run through this. Going a little bit long here. Well, not really. Interest rates. Student direct loans are 2.75%. Perkins loan too. Parent plus loans are 4.53. However, hold on. The Fed is going to gonna announce interest rate changes on the Parent Plus loan and Parent Plus loans. Student loans are frozen until the end of next year. But I think parent loans will get an increase because of inflation, because the Fed is raising interest rates to control inflation. I shouldn't say it because of inflation, is what the Fed's doing. Maximum loan lengths. Direct student loan, maximum length is 7 years if they make their payments. Plus loan is 10 years. Although I got one for my daughter at GW, I paid it off in 4 years. Exceptions are possible, but the cost extensions are possible, but the costs dramatically increase when you extend. Monthly payments, you wonder what you're going to pay per month? For student direct loan, the maximum monthly payment, 2.75% interest rate, 7 years, 84 months. It's a $357.74 payment. And I assumed they took a loan every semester they were in school. But it turns out that doesn't always happen. I think $357 is probably fair. Again, if you have a job that's making, I think I figured it out. So I'll do a presentation on it this spring. It's to plan your career to have enough to make your payments. And you could get an income-based payment that's lower and still get the loan paid off in 7 or 8 years, or actually 8 to 10 years. The assumption is $27,000 principal plus $30.50 in interest. It's the maximum student loan at that point. But most students don't have the maximum. 2 types of direct loans are subsidized loans. Interest is paid by the feds while the student is in college. Interest does accrue 6 months after the student leaves college. Notice I didn't say graduation. If somehow they don't finish college, that interest begins to accrue when they leave college, whether they have a degree or not. That happens in the case of stop out. Remember, I said 44% finish, 56% don't, middle class. You may want to know that the total nationwide is 52% finish college. And on our program, it's 83%. It's 72% of people who see this presentation or future presentations like it on my program. Or if they go to what we call my preparation for college portion of our program, we used to call it life confirmation. I'm kind of come up with a new name where we prepare them to be on the campus. Then 87% of students finish college. If the community helps students and gives them information before they go to college, they finish college. The first year loan is $3,500. It's $3,500. You can see it right here. There it is. The second year is $4,500. The third and fourth year is $5,500. So the maximum subsidized loan is $19,000. Now we do have a thing called unsubsidized loans. That's $2,000 for each year for 5 years, plus the additional $4,000 per year if the plus loan is rejected. They get additional student loan when it's rejected. And that's how loans work. Remember, unsubsidized loan, the interest is paid while the student's in school. It's a small amount though. I think it's 0.8 something percent. It's very small. So it's not gonna really bother you. The maximum subsidized loans a student can take is 22. So you can see that 41,000 theoretically is the maximum, but quite often it's more like 27, 26, 22, 18. I hardly ever see it $30,000 or $40,000. Okay. Here's a typical 4-year West A student. Here's year 1, 2, 3, 4, subsidized $12,250, unsubsidized $17,000. That's about $19,000. All right. And then this student over here, I'm trying to remember what the difference is. The student to the left went for 3.5 years. You see that? Student over here to the right, 4 years, it's 3.5 years of college to the left. It's 4 years to the right. That just tells you if you finish college early, you cut down your loans and your cost of college. So it's $14,800 or $22,000 when you do the 4 years. Again, we're talking about loans. The maximum payments for loans for the plus loan we want to talk about, the parent loan, that's at 4.53, 10 years, 220. It's a $474.62 payment per month. But you remember, we're talking now only about a $45,000 in principal. In fact, the average plus loan is principal is more like $60,000 in the United States. Because people use them for private schools, and private schools cost more than CSU. I did this like a CSU here, the 45. That's typically what I see for CSU if the student's on campus for 4 years. This is a typical CSU parent loan. But it can go higher, as you'll see in a moment. Here's my plus loan table. Let me see if I can't bring that back here. Over here, parents, my friends, is your parent loan table here. Oops. Here's your parent loan table here, parents. Or the student loan table, you can look at it. I'm going to talk about this, but you can see how it increases with the principal. That 45,000 is in here, you see. But you see, when you start going to on $30,000, 40,000 a year in parent loan, that's 160,000 in principal and a monthly payment of $1,835 per month. It's like having another house, right? At 4.35% in 10 years. Remember, the 4074 was if it was $45,000 that we have here, right? Okay. I want to make sure you know about this stuff. Any question on that? Again, I don't think people are anywhere telling parents this stuff. I just don't see it anywhere. Schools sure are not breaking their necks to tell you this. You know what I mean? I guess they don't want to damage the chance of your student coming to the school. Top career planning issues that I'm seeing unique to this year. College is not only about getting away or getting a degree, it's about starting your life. Please recognize the career starts that are experience-based and that students need to start now and while they're getting a related degree, like nursing, video, TV production. We've talked about this, animal care, theater. We spent a whole session on this, and I will spend another session on career very shortly, give them even more details in their careers. I covered a lot of this. If you went to the presentation I did in Lakewood, I don't know if anybody did. I covered a lot of that, what I'm going to cover in that future session. I covered it there in Lakewood. Computer IT, app programming, graphic design. You can start on these things now. A lot of you have. I see some parents here whose students already have started on this stuff. That stuff's good because they get that experience now before they go away to college. Please recognize great careers that do not require a specific major. Although it's great to have, for example, they pay you more for having a degree, but it doesn't require a specific major. Law enforcement, firefighting, feds, working for the feds, working for federal law enforcement, et cetera. Please recognize careers that are not a major. Pre-med and pre-dental are not majors. They're study disciplines that you'll have to take the testing, like the MCAT and the dental exam. There are certain classes you got to take, but they're not majors. The only career that's a major is engineering. We talked about that. I'll cover a little more of that now. College is not only about getting where, getting a degree, it's about starting your life. Why are you created? I like to ask youth. I'll ask that again in the session we're going to have. It may ultimately be a spiritual issue. Have you ever thought about that, parents? Psalm 139:14 says, I will praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works that my soul knows very well. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. College choice should be about starting your life, students need to know. It will be hard to see this after how adult decision makers have taken away your life. A lot of students voice that to me, but I still want them to think about their careers. Just because they lost a chunk of their life, they can still think about it. It's a good time to do that right now as they're going to college. There's some experience-based careers. Here's an example: videography and filmmaking. Becoming a filmmaker has nothing to do with a degree. It happens in stages. If you want to make films, go ahead and make films. There are all kinds of ways to make films. These are ways you can work on it independent of the degree. So you get your degree, you already have that experience. I got students now who are already doing, I said before I'd never do filming or anything, but I got a video channel with 200 videos on it. So that's not true. You really need to think about how you can learn it affordably while you're at school. And like in addition to your degree, you have experience. But there's two-year colleges that can help with something like videography. Experience-based careers, I know we don't have May not have some medical people here, but here's the way most people go to get their degree, to get their 4-year degree. I think it should be a BA degree in biology, chemistry, psychology, whatever. And then they can take the classes they need for the MCAT, right? Remember, they could be majoring in any health science, or they can major a BA in biology or a BA in a BS in public health. But then they take the classes in college that are shown over here to the right that are needed to pass the MCAT. MCAT prep, that's calculus 2 sometimes, that's correct. MCAT prep and test, then go on to medical school. That's the typical path, but there are some other ways to do it. I don't know if I covered here. I don't cover it today, but there are more effective ways to do it, you'll find. Here's how most think, for example, you'll become a nurse. You graduate high school, first 2 years of 4-year college, it's pre-nursing. And then if you get high enough grades, second years, if your GPA is high enough, at your 4-year college will be the nursing degree. You come out, take the nursing exam, get a full-time nursing job. But here's another way to be a nurse that my last 5 or 6 have become RNs. You become a certified nursing assistant. In other words, you get experience while you're in college. You get a part-time nursing job. That should be CNA. I don't know why I haven't corrected that. 4-year college, there are your different degrees you can get. You take the RN licensing exam, and you get a full-time nursing job. So you do things in parallel to make it easier for you. Here's still another way to be a nurse through our partner, Charles Drew. They have a 3-year RN program. I mean, if I was wanted to become an RN, I didn't want to get it in debt, I would take this program. It's a 3-year program. You will be a nurse in 3 years. Most of the time, it's going to take 5 years. But this is a 3-year program. The licensing exam, a full-time nursing job. That's it. That's another way to become a nurse. If you're interested in that way, let me know. Charles Drew is our partner. Other experience-based careers, won't go into today. Theater acting, computer IT, computer app programming, design. I'm planning a special career session. It's probably gonna be earlier than that. Then we talked about BA degrees. I don't want people to feel you can only get a STEM degree to make money. Again, I'm going through these rather quick because I'm gonna have a more detailed session for students. I'm gonna say it's students only, but parents, you're invited. I certainly encourage you to send your student when I have that said. I'm gonna have it in person, that's why I'm stalling, okay? Here are the most college job, it's like on a Saturday or something. Here are the most job career flexible BA degrees. There they are, right? You can see I've done the dashes off of the degrees down to the different jobs. But a BA in communications is getting very popular right now. It's a very flexible degree. You can work in a lot of different disciplines, but in the administrative part, right? The BA in biology, BA in chemistry, BA in sociology, not necessarily social work, although that's a viable career path. BA in business marketing, BA in psychology. These are all BA degree ways to start your career. I think those degrees are the most flexible. Look at the type of jobs you can possibly get into. Then you have these parallel types of training I want to see students, get a hold of, by the way. Coding and software, office suite, office management skills, CNA training, EMT, air conditioning repair. These are all ideas of things while they're in college. I have a student of mine that learned how to fix air conditioners while he was getting his mechanical MT degree, mechanical tech, they called it at Poly SLO. And he's now repairing air conditioners and he's doing contract work for the government. So making that money both ways because he had experience when he got his 4-year degree. Okay. I put tutoring and student training down here because I'm hoping some of them come work for me. I'm hoping a lot of my students after their 12th grade year come and help me out in the summer and support my program. A lot of students work with me and get to spend time helping students and before they start their careers. The LA County Digital Divide, we've had 7 or 8 students take that and get certifications online through Google and Coursera, through the County of Los Angeles. They're free courses. You might want to have your student take some of those to get website and app development, social media coding, experience. Like all can be done online. They can get a certification and they get projects to do. And it's a great thing to put on their job applications. Here's a guideline for the addition of new colleges. I think I've covered this. Yeah, I did. So I'm done. That's good. Let me stop the share. Here we are. If there's any questions, I'll be glad to take those. I took some great questions with Sister Patricia. Is there anyone else that has any questions after that? There was a lot of information in front of you. Please remember to ask us to help you with your CSU applications. Christina's standing by. Christina's working on the ones that came to us, but we're going to probably finish it. We're going to blow through those this week, and we'll be sitting waiting. The deadlines are coming up the November 30th for CSU and UC. However, I know every year there will be about 10 or 11 CSUs that stay open because I hear they haven't gotten nearly the applications they thought they would get. But don't bank on that. Schools like San Diego State, Fullerton, Long Beach, they can't wait to close. They're sitting over there, they can't wait to close. Brianna, I know it. She know I'm right. Who else can't wait to close? Let me think. I got those three.
What about Northridge?
Oh yeah, they can't wait to close.
Mhm.
Northridge is gonna be so closed tight. I think there's birds that are gonna be scared to fly over the campus. I mean, I'm serious. So you want to think about that deadlines, you haven't gotten those in yet. Or haven't planned to get them in. We can help you with how they select the CSU. We're experts with CSU. We can really help you. All right, any questions? None? All right, I'll stop the old thanks all who are here on YouTube Live. If you have any questions, put it in the comment window.